I'd like to start by wishing Rabbi Baker a very happy belated birthday. Ad Mea Ve'esrim. One of the best parts of my Shabbaton this year was a senior Q&A with Rabbi Baker. He invited us to come with any questions that we might not otherwise ask our head of school. At midnight, sitting in a circle of chairs in the Beit Midrash, we asked him questions about the early years of Gann, current policies, and more. He answered honestly and took all of our questions seriously because he understood that as students, we look up to him and value his opinions. He found a way to share his thoughts with us in a way that let us take the lead in the conversation. My first question for him was, what's your favorite part of your day? Now, this was mostly a trick question since I'm in class with Rabbi Baker twice a week. One of my favorite things about his class is that we did a lot of learning in chavruta, in study pairs. We would review a chunk of text with our partner to make sure that we really understood. Often, when there was a particularly hard section, the whole class would come together to work through it. In these instances, Rabbi Baker was usually quiet. Unless we asked for help, he would leave us to figure it out on our own. Without a teacher showing us the way, we disagreed about what the text actually meant, and we found multiple wrong answers, but our conversations always brought some new understanding of the text. I appreciate that Rabbi Baker gave us the space to work things out on our own. Other teachers might have stepped in to help in the interest of moving on more quickly, but Rabbi Baker always gave us the time to try out every single possible wrong answer. As a result, I felt more comfortable with my knowledge of the material. The Shabbaton and Talmud class might seem like unrelated highlights of my years at Gann, but they are actually connected. The connections are Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, Rabbi Simcha Banim, and Rabbi Mark Baker. Confused? Let me explain. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter was a 19th century rabbi famous for his teachings about midot, or character traits. At Gann, teachers sometimes focus a class on a specific one of the 13 midot to discuss and to practice. In my 9th grade math class, we learned about anava, meaning humility. Humility often means being careful to not take up too much space, but the value of anava goes both ways. It is recognizing your own strengths as well as your weaknesses. It is knowing when to step up and when to step back. This way of thinking about anava reminds me of a poster hanging in Rabbi Baker's office with a drawing of some things one might find in a pocket, like glasses and coins, in addition to 2 slips of paper. One piece of paper says, "For me, the world was created." The other says, "I am but dust and ashes." This poster is a depiction of a quote by Rabbi Banim, who said that you should always carry both pieces of paper, one in each of your pockets, because you need both. There are times in your life to step up and be confident in your knowledge because the world was created for you. And there are times in your life to step back because there are other people with different experiences and viewpoints that are worth hearing. Thank you, Rabbi Baker, for understanding and living both ends of the spectrum of anava. When you let us seniors pick your brain about your thoughts about Gann, you embrace your strengths and you shared them with us. When you let us struggle through a piece of Talmud on our own, you took a step back to give us room to figure out our own opinions. While many people would find one of those difficult and the other easy, you do both seamlessly. Thank you for showing our community how to share our own ideas, how to listen to others, and how to lead. We'll miss you, and b'hatzlacha. Our entire community has messages to share with you, Rabbi Baker. We received dozens and dozens of messages, and while we could not include every single one in this video, we will make sure you see all of them in their entirety. Thank you to Dina Karger of the class of 2019 for putting the entire video together. Please enjoy.
Thank you for always supporting the teams at Gann.
We'll miss you.
Thank you, Rabbi Baker, for always coming and supporting the plays.
One thing that I really appreciate about Rabbi Baker in general, but specifically just when I'm walking around the halls, he talks to students, and it kind of shows that even though he has authority over us and like he's the head of school, there's a sense of equality that he really cares about each individual student at Gann.
I love Rabbi Baker because he truly cares about each individual student at Gann and is super dedicated to ensuring that all members of the community feel inspired, appreciated, accepted, and happy.
Rabbi Baker's Torah knowledge comes from up here, but it lives right here.
Rabbi Baker, you're cool.
I love you. Rabbi Baker, you're always so kind and always say hi to me in the hallway.
And he's always there for anyone who wants help or needs anything.
I want to say thank you to Rabbi Baker for always being a friendly face to see around, being a really welcoming person. I think he's the perfect head of school.
Rabbi Baker is
Compassionate,
funny,
generous,
dedicated,
brings people together,
Wise.
understanding,
friendly.
Awesome.
One of my favorite experiences from Israel was going to the mikvah with you, Rabbi Baker. Thanks so much for taking us. It was awesome.
Rabbi Baker is really great because he's just so consistently friendly. I'm asked what's the one time when he's the nicest, most friendly person, but he's all friendly all the time, so I can't even say one time. That's how good he is.
One of my favorite things about Rabbi Baker is how engaging he is. During my senior year, I decided to take his Talmud elective. Somehow, he managed to make a text written almost 2,000 years ago relevant enough to my life that I want to study it instead of having a free block. I felt so lucky to be able to learn from him in the role of a teacher instead of an administrator.
Thank you for making my high school experience both comfortable and welcoming.
Can't help me the same without you.
Rabbi Baker, you taught me how to put on a big tallis.
Rabbi Baker, you are a total celebrity, and my family, myself and my brother and my parents we're all so excited to know you and just be able to really bask in all of your glory.
Something I love about Rabbi Baker is that he always has such a positive attitude. Whether it's when I see him in the hallways, during special events, or just weekly during his Hakel speeches, he's always so upbeat and energetic, and that's something I've really appreciated.
Baker, you listen to anything that anyone wants to say, and you're super fun to talk to.
From everyone on the North Shore,
We're gonna miss you.
good luck in your future job. We will miss you.
We'll miss you.
We'll miss you, Rabbi Baker. Be'atzlacha.
Rabbi Baker, you're a special leader. Gann Academy, gonna miss you. Rabbi Baker, we don't want to lose you. But we hope you had a good time again.
Rabbi Baker, I don't know of any other head of school that knows every single student's name. I don't know of any other head of school who is so loved by his students that they beg to come over to his house for Shabbos tishes, and once they arrive soaking wet from a walk in the rain, he gives them all extra Gann t-shirts. I don't know of any other head of school that is willing to sleep at school on Shabbatons, fly back and forth to Israel to check on students, or sing an original song in front of the entire student body. So how lucky has Gann Academy been to have had a head of school like you, who cares at so deep a level that you have done all of those things and much more. And while doing so, you have made so many students, including me, feel so supported, inspired, and cared for throughout their high school experience. When I think of all the ways that statement is true for me, one particular memory comes to mind. One morning before school started, I was by myself playing piano in the Beit Midrash, New York State of Mind by Billy Joel. I heard you singing the words from the hallway, and then you stopped in to see who was playing. You took the time out of your day to walk in, ask how my week had been, and if I often came into the Beit Midrash to play piano. Then you stole the show and passionately sang some verses, even though I was playing in a key that was much too high. That moment was really impactful for me because you didn't have to do that. You could have just continued on to whatever incredible work you were doing for the school or the greater Boston Jewish community that day, and you still would have been considered an exceptional head of school. But the fact that you cared enough to take time out of your busy schedule just to get to know one student better, to get a better sense of what students do in their free time at school, to make me feel valued by you really meant a lot to me. Thank you so much for caring about everyone in this community and doing meaningful work to ensure that everyone feels like they have a place here.
You have made this place the best community I've ever belonged to, and although your journey here is coming to a close, the amount of care that you've shown all of us has taught us how to care for one another. You have left us well equipped to continue caring for each other and strengthening this community in the years to come. So I couldn't think of a more perfect award to have the privilege of presenting you with today. CJP is incredibly lucky to have you next year.
Thank you. First of all, anyone in here who has seen or heard Meta play, sing, perform knows that I was just stealing an opportunity to say I sang with Meta. And I think the key too high is a theme tonight so far. So, thank you. Receiving this award from two students tonight means the world to me. I couldn't have it any other way. You've not only been my students, and I'm speaking to those of you in this room and those of you not in this room. You've been my teachers, my fellow travelers and seekers of meaning and purpose. As students, you are in our care during these 4 years, and you inspire me and all of us with your care for one another, for your teachers, for our school, for your learning, for the Jewish community, and for our world. Thank you. And thank you, dear Gann Academy parents, those of you in this room and those of you not in this room, for being sacred partners for me and for the entire faculty and staff of Gann as we strive to live out all of our core values, and through these values to create and preserve a school culture that makes everything we do here possible. We give these awards now 3 years in a row because our values are in many ways the DNA of our community, and how we do or do not live them out forms the content of our character, individually and collectively. So I'm honored to be here tonight standing alongside David and Gracie and Shira. You all shine light on our school and our world through the ways that you're living out these values and the mission of Gann Academy every day. Mazel tov and thank you. I'm particularly touched to be receiving the Kavod Care Award tonight because, as many of you have heard me say, the idea of a genuinely caring community during high school is not a nice to have or an add-on to a rigorous academic curriculum. In fact, a respectful, caring, loving community is the foundation upon which students can take the risks, face the challenges, and do the hard work of high school, academically and personally. I also want to note that care is not fluffy or touchy-feely. An ethic of care itself is rigorous. It's rooted in deeply held convictions about the infinite worth of every human being, and therefore the moral responsibility that we have to one another. While kavod is most often translated as respect, we chose to translate it as care because somehow care feels more active and seems to convey the emotional and behavioral dimensions of kavod. And for me, as I've been reflecting on this idea of kavod, I realized that what underlies this core value is love, which Rav Kook the great 20th century mystic, poet, philosopher, and chief rabbi of pre-state Israel, actually describes as a moral principle. Love as moral principle. Here's what he says. Much effort is needed to broaden the love for people to the proper level at which it must pervade life to the fullest depths. The highest level of love for people is the love due to the individual person. It must embrace every single individual, regardless of differences of views on religion or differences of race or climate. It is essential to understand different nations and groupings, to study their characteristics and lifestyles in order to know how to base our human love on foundations that will readily translate themselves into action. Rav Kook continues, it is necessary to recognize the light of the good in the best of people, for it is through them that the light of God is diffused into the world, whether they recognize the significance of this mission or not. What a beautiful articulation of the theology behind Gann's pluralism and behind our responsibility to love every person and, more importantly, to translate that love into action. This is what kavod means to me. Love in action in the form of care. You can see examples of this lived out value everywhere you look here at Gann. An adult being extra careful to speak with language that includes rather than excludes, that challenges and doesn't degrade, that lifts students up rather than diminishing them. That same adult recognizing when he falls short or misses the mark, which we all inevitably do, and then acknowledges it and publicly apologizes for it. A coach calling her team over when things are getting heated with a disrespectful and poorly behaved opponent in order to remind that team before things get out of hand, that is not who we are and not how we do things at Gann Academy. 2 history classes creating a museum exhibit on the history of disabilities in the United States. Students offering appreciations to their peers after their peers have had the courage to make themselves vulnerable in front of the entire community. Students saying thank you to teachers at the end of classes every day. A school that puts pluralism at the center of its mission, not only because the world is intellectually and philosophically complex, which it is, but also because we are diverse human beings who are interconnected with one another and the world, striving to create a better world together, a world in which each of our voices will be heard and in which human dignity will flourish. That is the school we've created, and it's been a humbling privilege to serve this mission and these values alongside all of you for the past 12 years. The sacred trust of this mission, culture, and values is in your faithful hands. And I look forward to continuing to play my part as a Gann parent and a leader and cheerleader in this community for many years to come. Thank you for this honor. Thank you for everything. I love all of you very much. Thank you. Thank you.